Hello everyone, welcome back to Whiz. So as you all already know, I'm Priyadarshan here, your host and your quiz master. So we'll get to our questions for today. Why not let's continue with the trend and let's have a little bit of a chit chat first. So interestingly enough, or rather coincidentally enough, I think many of you can see my T-shirt. Some of you might be Flipside, but I'll help you out. So it's written High Altitude Trek Team. So actually, this I wanted to talk about one of my hobbies. So this is trekking has been my hobby since a long time, and since I live in Mumbai, so there are a lot of good treks which we can just go to overnight or weekend treks or something like that. But it's only I think for the past 3 years that I started doing trekking more seriously and going to high altitude treks. So for those of you who don't know, any trek that you do where you climb higher than 8,000 feet, that is considered as a high altitude trek. The reason being very simple because the oxygen level starts going down. So all of you who have got these fancy oximeters now to check your oxygen and all, we use that a lot of times when we're on a trek, rather 2 to 3 times a day to monitor the oxygen because the group which I go with for trekking is called India Hikes. A big shout out to them because that is one of the most professional yet fun and friendly trek groups I have ever come across. I've done 3 high altitude treks with them. I did Kedar Kanta in the winters. That was about 12,500 feet. Then I went ahead with Buran Ghati, that was 15,000 feet. And my last trek, unfortunately, this year I couldn't go because of the situation. But my last trek, which I did last year, was Annapurna Base Camp. That was the height was less, but it was much more difficult. The height was about 13,800 feet, but probably one of the most difficult treks I've ever done. So I really want to say that this is a very beautiful hobby. It can help you stay fit. It will also help you get back to one with yourself because when you go on these treks, there's no range, so no phones, no Instagram, no Facebook. So you can be one with nature and you can actually just spend some quality time with yourself. Because whenever I go for my treks, I go alone. I don't take my friends along because I really want to spend that time with myself. Try to think of whatever problems or whatever obstacles I'm facing and how to push past them. So really brings about a very positive vibe, the whole place, the whole experience. So for those of you who haven't tried, please give it a try. For those of you who are confused about which trek to do, will this be too difficult or what, please feel free to leave it in the comments below or just get in touch with me. So I think it's not fair to leave the quizzers waiting for so long. So let's get back to the questions ASAP. So let's start off with yesterday's answers. So yesterday's first question. As per the Treaty of Amritsar of 1846, Raja Gulab Singh of Jammu and Kashmir had to acknowledge the supremacy of the British government by annually presenting to it one horse, 12 goats of an approved breed, and 3 pairs of what item of clothing. So the answer was hidden in the question. Since he was from Jammu and Kashmir, the answer is very simple. This is the Kashmir shawls. I'm so sorry. It's the Kashmir shawls. And now, moving on to our second question for yesterday. This evergreen character was a response to Target magazine's detective Moochwala. This character was also partly based on the 50s sitcom show I Love Lucy, which is again a great show. Like, you really should try and watch it. So, name the character. The name of the character was Chakra. And now, moving on to our third question for yesterday. The Banyas are an occupational community of bankers and merchants. Long ago, a few of the community started selling perfumes and scented products and eventually came to be known with a particular surname. Which famous surname originated from there? So the answer we were looking for is Patil. So Patil is the surname. That is what it also means, I guess, someone who is at a position of authority. So Patil was the answer we were looking for. Moving on to our fourth question for yesterday. According to Motion Pictures Association of America, these highly condensed series of movie shots cannot exceed 2.5 minutes, usually start with a green or red band, and include rating cards. The name comes from the fact that they were originally shown at the end of a feature film screening. What term are we talking about? So the term we're talking about is trailers. So I think many of you would have already figured it out. So it was pretty much simple. So this was our fourth question for yesterday. Now moving on to our fifth question for yesterday. As per historical records, Noor Jahan created this food item by mixing sweetened milk and an array of fruit pulps with crushed ice imported from the Himalayan lakes. With time, the recipe has seen a lot of change. Identify the food item which is found even today in almost every nook and corner in India. So the answer we were looking for is the Faluda. So the royal Faluda. So that is what she came up with. So these were our 5 answers for. And now moving on to our 5 questions for today. So our first question for today. What demand was dropped in 1956 following the gentleman's agreement promising non-discrimination signed between B. Gopal Reddy and B. Ramakrishna Rao? Moving on to our second question for today. Designed by Ramchandra Sharma of the Savai Mansingh College in Rajasthan, this was designed to be inexpensive, water resistant and quick to fit and manufacture. The material used is polyurethane, which was quite different from the material traditionally used to make similar items at that time. It played a prominent role in the 1986 Hindi film Nache Mayuri. What are we talking about? And now moving on to our third question for today. Since the language does not have its own script, it is mainly written in the scripts of South Indian languages, Devanagari and Roman. Nirmon is the first movie in this language to be recognized as at the National Awards. Nachom Ya Kumpasar, another movie which was crowdfunded, won rave reviews and was recognized at the 62nd National Awards. So, what are we talking about? Moving on to our fourth question for today. Article 1, Clause 1 of the Indian Constitution reads, the Union and its territory. Name and territory of the Union, dash, that is, dash, shall be a union of states. What are the 2 words blanked out? The order is very important. So I want you to fill in both the blanks, but it can't be interchangeable, so be very careful when you're trying to answer this question. And now moving on to our last question for today. If not, a disputed piece of land can be Siachen, Gilgit, Baltistan, Dafdur or Kanjut, West Guar Mota, East Kibithu, then in the south, what is it? So these were our 5 questions for today. I know the questions for today were a little more technical, probably a little more on the whacking your brains, but that is the fun of it. I'm trying to maintain the balance, but I want to see how smart all my followers are out there. So please do not forget to leave the answers in the comments below. I will be back tomorrow with 5 more answers and 5 more questions, so please stay tuned. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel and the videos. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you tomorrow. Till then, this is your host PD taking your leave. So please take care, stay safe and good night.